It was the perfect Saturday afternoon. The sun was shining, the grill was sizzling, and the backyard filled with the laughter of friends and neighbors. The smell of barbecue floated through the air, drifting across fences and driveways. Supposed to be a carefree day, the kind that brought the whole street together. Beneath the cheer, tension simmered. I had already received multiple warnings from the HOA president about my unauthorized grill, and as I flipped the burgers, I had a gut feeling he wouldn't let today pass quietly. That feeling was about to prove true. Halfway through the party, the music playing softly in the background was interrupted by a sharp voice. The HOA president marched straight into my yard, waving a clipboard like a weapon. His face was red, his finger pointed accusingly at the grill. He barked about violations, safety hazards, and non-compliant equipment. Conversations stopped. Plates hovered midair. Guests stared in disbelief as he turned my barbecue into a battlefield. My heart raced, but I stayed still. The moment wasn't mine to control anymore, it was everyone's, and before long, the silence gave way to murmurs of discontent around me. The president, emboldened by the hush, launched into a tirade. He claimed the grill posed a fire risk, that gatherings like mine disturbed the community atmosphere. My neighbors glanced at each other, their expressions shifting from surprise to frustration. The hypocrisy was obvious. He himself had hosted loud, raucous parties many times before. Children fidgeted, sensing the tension. The smell of charred meat filled the air as the food on the grill sizzled unattended. The president kept talking, louder and harsher with each word. But the tide was turning, and he didn't realize how quickly his authority was slipping away. The first voice to rise came from an elderly neighbor, who reminded him of all the times he had bent the rules for himself. Another chimed in, pointing out how the HOA ignored real issues like broken sidewalks and overgrown lots. Soon, voices overlapped, each neighbor more emboldened than the last. My yard transformed from a barbecue to a town hall meeting. The president's clipboard shook slightly as his arguments grew weaker under the weight of public dissent. For the first time, it wasn't just me standing up to him, it was the entire neighborhood. The balance had shifted. The president tried to regain control, raising his voice, insisting he alone enforce the rules. But the crowd wasn't listening anymore. Parents gestured to their kids playing happily, dismissing his claims of disturbance. Guests openly mocked his obsession with paperwork. Laughter rippled through the yard, not at the party but at him. His face darkened as he realized his power had no audience here. The more he yelled, the smaller he seemed. My grill hissed, the food perfectly cooked despite the chaos. And in that moment, the president, once feared, looked less like an authority and more like a nuisance. Frustrated, he turned to threats fiends legal action, even removal of the grill by force. But by now, neighbors surrounded him, united in defiance. Some pulled out phones, recording his every word. Others reminded him of bylaws he had conveniently ignored. His red face grew blotchy under the weight of cameras and scrutiny. The more he sputtered, the more ridiculous he appeared. My guests resumed eating, chatting, and laughing as if he wasn't even there. The sizzle of the grill drowned out his shouts. He'd come to shut us down, but instead, the party had swallowed him whole. At last, the president's voice cracked. He realized no one was backing him, not even his closest allies. With cameras capturing his tantrum and neighbors openly challenging him, he had no ground left to stand on. His threats dissolved into mutters. He slammed his clipboard shut, turned on his heel, and stormed out of my yard. The sound of the gate clanging shut behind him was met with cheers and applause. My neighbors clapped each other on the back, raising plates and cups in victory. The barbecue, once interrupted, had become a full-blown celebration of unity against tyranny. As the night wore on, laughter and music filled the air again, louder than before. The grill worked overtime, serving burgers and ribs to a crowd that felt more like family than neighbors. The HOA president had come to shut us down, but instead he had strengthened our bond. Stories of his tantrum spread quickly, and by the next day he was the punchline of every conversation. My grill still stood proudly in the yard, smoke curling into the sky. What started as a petty power play ended as a victory for everyone, and the president left red-faced.